When the lilacs are blooming, look for morels in your garden. Obtaining morels from the garden is a gamble because it depends largely on weather conditions, assuming of course that we have previously inoculated its mycelium. However, if you want to slightly increase the chance of controlled cultivation of this mushroom, I will tell you a little about the conditions of its cultivation, what soil, temperature and care it requires, because it is worth trying this delicious mushroom at least once in your life, but you should know that even if you come across it in the forest, it is protected. Morels are truly unique mushrooms. They are a prized find for pickers every spring. Hunting for morels is an exciting adventure. These mushrooms connect us with the hidden life of the forest. They are a type of sac mushroom. This means that they produce their spores in special sacs. The temptation of morels is strong. This is partly due to their elusive nature. They are not easy to find. They appear suddenly in wild places. Their camouflage can be excellent. They often blend in with fallen leaves and forest debris. Finding a morel is like discovering a secret treasure. This challenge adds to their mystery and value. People eagerly await their brief appearance every year. This year was a very cold May. Probably the coldest in 35 years, so I waited a long time for the morels to appear. But the sun came, warmed up the ground and warmed them, and they popped out to my delight. I imagine that you would prefer to pick them by the handful. So what conditions prevail when the morel feels comfortable and starts to run riot? The life of the morel can be complicated because it can appear both under a specific tree and choose a place and grow without the help of trees. First of all, you should try to recreate the conditions in which this mushroom appears. Weather conditions play an absolutely critical role in the development of morels. The right balance of moisture and temperature is essential. Without favorable weather, the mycelium may not fruit at all. Or the harvest may be very poor. Certain indicator plants can also signal potential morel sites. Plants such as May apples, trifoliate, or shoot ferns often appear around the same time as the morels. Black morels, the Morchella elata group, often appear first in spring. Their caps range from dark gray to almost black. Yellow morels, the Morchella esculenta group, also known as common morels, appear a bit later. Their caps are usually yellowish-brown or light brown. There are also semi-free morels, Morchella semilibera. Their caps are smaller and attached only at the top of the stem. The mycelium waits patiently for the right conditions. Over time, it gathers resources and energy. Then, when spring arrives with warmth and rain, it goes to work. The mycelium of morels needs specific signals to produce mushrooms. These are known as fruiting triggers. Environmental factors play a huge role. Soil temperature is one of the most important signals. The soil needs to warm up after winter. A steady temperature range signals the mycelium. This range is often between 10 and 15 degrees Celsius of soil. Air temperatures are a bit more, around 15 to 20 degrees Celsius. Night temperatures should also remain above freezing. This warmth tells the mushroom that spring has arrived. This means that conditions are becoming favorable for growth above ground. Moisture is another critical element. The mycelium requires adequate water. Spring rains are essential for the development of morels. The soil should be moist but not waterlogged. Too much water can damage the mycelium. Too little water will prevent the formation of fungi. A gentle, steady supply of moisture is ideal. For morels to grow, the optimum air humidity is between 80 and 90%. And the soil moisture is up to 70%. To sow morels in the garden, you will first need spores from the mushroom species. You can obtain them by collecting adult specimens along with their caps and roots. In the mushroom caps there are mushroom spores, from which mushrooms are naturally spread, and in the root, or hyphae, there is mycelium needed for the development of the mushroom. The mushrooms needed for sowing should be fully developed and mature, but not dried out. Morel spores are often in the so-called garden bark used to mulch gardens. With a bit of luck, some gardeners have morels growing on their own in the garden. You can also buy specialist mycelium in the store. There is now a very large selection from spores in dried form to liquid mycelium with various types of morels and even such mycelium for example, blueberries. The composition of the soil also matters. Morels often prefer soils rich in organic matter. They like clay soils with good drainage. The calcium content in the soil seems to be beneficial. These environmental cues must match perfectly. It's like a secret code that only the mycelium understands. When the temperature, humidity, and soil conditions are right, magic happens. To grow these amazing mushrooms, in addition to the mycelium, you need the right substrate for the development of a given species. The place of cultivation should have a soil with a neutral or slightly alkaline pH, i.e. from 6.5 to 7.5. But as you can see, in my case, morels grow both in the substrate where currants grow on a substrate with an alkaline pH and also with blueberries, where the pH is acidic. If we have morels from the previous year, then the whole mushrooms, especially the caps and roots, should be chopped or crushed, or the purchased mycelium should be placed in an appropriate mixture consisting of half a kilogram of peat, 1 kilogram of sawdust, half a kilogram of wood ash, and 200 grams of lime. That is, in proportion, 8 parts of peat, 4 parts of sawdust, 2 parts of ash, and 100 grams of gypsum. Mix everything together with spores and mushroom mycelium and pour water. The pulp should have 70% humidity. When the mixture is squeezed very hard in the hand, 2 to 3 drops of water will leak out. Rainwater or water from a well is best for moistening. City water, chlorinated, is not suitable for this purpose. Bury everything to a depth of about 5 to 7 centimeters. Great results are obtained by covering the soil with agritextile, in which we make holes in the place where the mushrooms are to grow. It maintains increased moisture and heat. Remember that it should be a material agritextile and not a plastic agritextile. Then mulch the place with the mycelium with a thin layer of fine pine or spruce bark. Wheat grain also appears to have a positive effect on the growth of this fungus. They are often found in deciduous forests. Good places to look are forests with trees such as ash, elm, and maple. Old apple orchards can also be surprising hot spots for morels. They seem to like the unique conditions these trees create. The year after a fire can be very productive for some species of morels. Logged areas or places where the soil has been disturbed can also produce morels. Morels are often associated with specific species of trees. Dying or recently dead elms were once known indicators of morels. This was especially true during outbreaks of Dutch elm disease. Ash trees are also well-known companions of morels. Cartonwood, and some species of pines, can also host them. Knowing how to identify these trees is a valuable skill for any morel hunter. Soil cover also provides clues. Morels often grow where there is little undergrowth. They can be found near mosses or ferns. Look for areas where sunlight reaches the forest floor. This helps warm the soil in spring. Morels often appear spontaneously near fire pits or garden waste because they prefer soil fed by wood ash. Ash makes the soil alkaline, acting similarly to lime. Morels like the areas around woodyards or wood waste. In nature, they often grow in the aftermath of forest fires, but of course we don't want to recreate a forest fire in our garden, so let's rely on wood ash from the fire. It is worth choosing places near or even under the roots of fruit trees and shrubs. Edible morels like the company of rosaceous plants and sometimes appear in fruit orchards, under apple trees. In the lowlands, they naturally occur in floodplain forests under white poplar. Rosaceae include the most important fruit trees in the world, including apple, plum, cherry, pear, apricot, peach, quince, and many other edible trees. So you can combine mushroom cultivation with fruit or flower cultivation. Morels like pine and spruce bark with an admixture of sawdust, ash from burnt wood and gypsum. You can feed the growing areas with such a mixture every year. It would be good if these were warm and humid places. You can expect the first mushrooms after a few months, even in the same season in spring, usually in April. To stimulate and maintain growth, constant spring rains are also needed. Experienced pickers learn to read these natural signs. They can be indicators that the morel season is underway. It is also worth remembering that no chemicals are used in the place where the mushrooms are to grow. Dry leaves are not removed either, which enrich the soil and help create an environment close to the natural one. Then we rely completely on nature. Only during a long drought can we moisten the place of its establishment several times. Additionally, you can feed the mycelium with a yeast solution with sugar. Research conducted by scientists from the Iraqi Journal of Agricultural Sciences in 2013 showed an increase in oyster mushroom yield by 50% after adding yeast. The results showed that the yield and biological efficiency increased with the increase in the concentration of yeast extract. In addition, it is good practice to periodically water the mushrooms with sugar water, which helps them grow faster. 10 grams of sugar per 10 liters of water is used. And malt is even better. Although sugar itself is not directly used as a fertilizer for mushrooms, it is a key component of their food. Mushrooms need a substrate rich in sugars, starches, and other nutrients to grow. For example, sugar cane pulp is used as a substrate in mushroom cultivation, as it is a good source of sugars and other nutrients. Although not a primary source of nutrients, brown sugar can be added to substrates as a source of readily available sugars for the mushrooms. In essence, mushrooms need a food source that provides them with the energy they need to grow, and this food source often includes sugars and other carbohydrates. The specific type of sugar used in the substrate depends on the type of mushroom being grown and the desired nutrient profile of the substrate. To fertilize morels, which is really just providing the right conditions for them to thrive, you need to enrich the soil with organic matter and mimic their natural habitat. Morels are saprophytic fungi that need nutrients from decaying organic matter, so providing a good source of these nutrients, such as composted wood chips or manure, is key. Composted wood chips provides a well-balanced source of organic matter. Composted manures provides essential nutrients and improves soil structure. Vermicompost, enriched by earthworms, it promotes soil health and beneficial microbes. As previously mentioned, aim for a slightly alkaline pH 7 to 8, keep it consistently moist without becoming waterlogged, and turn until the soil to aid aeration. Morels often grow near dead, decaying, or burned trees. Leaf litter and the clay soil it creates are beneficial. Wood ash can be used as a fertilizer or added to the soil. Gypsum can also be added to the soil and works wonders for growing morels. As an interesting aside, a small amount of salt in the spore suspension can help slow bacterial growth. Molasses can be used in the spore suspension to provide early food for the mycelium. It is important to note that morels are more likely to grow in areas where there has been a history of decaying organic matter and where there are suitable trees. This year I used mycelium purchased online because here we can combine business with pleasure. Mycelium mycorrhiza for blueberries and heather plants. It is an innovative preparation based on the unique abilities of majorized fungi. The mycelium of coniferous trees contains live mycelium hyphae and spores. The fungi contained in the preparation combine with the roots of heather and acidophilous plants, providing them with better access to water and nutrients. Thanks to this, the plants grow better, are healthier and more resistant, and the flowers are large and full of color. My blueberries yield great after this. Such mycorrhiza increases the plant's resistance to diseases and pathogens. The plant does not need much water and fertilizer because mycorrhiza accumulates it in the root. We use the preparation for blueberries and heather plants from spring to autumn. But when it comes to fungi, it is best to use it during their occurrence. In the case of morels, it is from April to July. And here's a surprise, because we get not only mycorrhiza good for our plants but also fungi, because the preparation includes mycorrhized mushrooms, morels. Patience is a virtue for those who want to grow wild mushrooms in the garden. In southern regions, the morel season may start earlier. The duration of the morel season in any given location is quite short. It can last just a few weeks. When conditions are right, morels can appear quickly. They also disappear quickly when temperatures rise further, or when the weather becomes too dry. This fleeting nature increases their value. You have a limited window of time to find them. When you find a morel, take a moment to appreciate its intricate structure. It is a marvel of natural design. This unique form makes it a prized food item, and it is a joy to discover it in nature. Feeling ready to bring the magic of the forest to your garden? See you next time.